without Tua and Teddy going up against one of the best teams in the NFL. Kyle, I'm going to kick this one to you first. What kind of outcome do you think this is going to be? Is this going to be a blowout, or is this going to be one of those embarrassing games the Dolphins shouldn't even show up to?
I think the Bills are going to just destroy them in this game. I think this has the potential to be a 3-touchdown win for the Bills here. And it's simply just because we're talking about Skylar Thompson. We're not even talking Teddy Bridgewater. We're talking Skylar Thompson. And look, I mean, you make it to an NFL roster, you got to be somewhat decent to be able to make it. But going up against that Bills defense, good luck. I just don't see that happening in any way, shape, or form. Just to kind of put things in perspective, we looked at the Dolphins last week. The Dolphins basically had to scrape for the last wild card spot to get into the playoffs in the AFC. They scored 11 points. Like the score between the Dolphins and the Jets last week was 11-6. That's something that you would see particularly in a baseball game. You would see a score like that in baseball every now and then. And the fact that Skylar Thompson really wasn't able to generate any sort of consistent offense with the Dolphins in that game against the Jets, albeit the Jets have a pretty stingy defense, it's not a good look going up against Buffalo. And Buffalo has one of the best defenses in the NFL. And Buffalo's coming off of a huge emotional high, getting that big win at home against the Patriots last week. And I think that game for the Bills kind of settled them based off of how the Damar Hamlin situation was going prior to that game. And I think now that they got those jitters and they got a lot of those butterflies out of their system from the Damar Hamlin situation, I think that the Bills are really primed for a potential Super Bowl run here. Kevin and I picked them as our Super Bowl pick this year, and I think they have a real good chance to make that happen, and it would start with a win over the Dolphins. When I look at the Bills from top to bottom, offensively, defensively, I think they have the advantage over the Dolphins. And I think in this game, I think this is going to be a typical Josh Allen-led performance from the Bills offense. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen throws the ball 35 to 40 times. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs the ball 5 to 10 times and probably gets somewhere around 50 to 75 yards. He does a great job extending plays with his feet, picking up first downs for the Bills offense. And look, when you have guys to throw to like Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Dawson Knox, you got plenty of targets at your disposal to work with. And I think they're going to be able to exploit that Dolphins defense pretty significantly in this game. And I just think that Dolphins defense is going to be out there on the field way too long because Skylar Thompson is not going to generate really any sort of consistent movement for that Miami offense. And you factor that in, you factor the time possession element into this game. I think the Bills are going to be heavily favored with the time possession in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills have 35 minutes to 38 minutes of time of possession compared to maybe 20 to 25 minutes with the Dolphins here. I just don't really see the Dolphins being able to overcome their quarterback issue with Tua not being able to play because he hasn't cleared concussion protocol. So as far as I see it with this game, I got the Bills winning this one big. I think the Bills get out to an early lead. I think they probably force a turnover two off of Skylar Thompson, and I think that just compounds the issues for Miami moving forward. And I think there's a very good chance that we could actually see Josh Allen on the bench resting late in the fourth quarter because I think the margin of their lead is going to be so wide that they don't need him late in the fourth quarter, and they can basically preserve him and some of their other starters potentially going into a divisional game in that scenario. So as far as I see it, I got the Bills winning this one big. I think the Bills put up probably 31 to 34 points in this game. I think the Dolphins are probably lucky to crack 17. So as far as I see it, I think this is going to be like a 31 to 14 score. I think the Bills win this one big. And to me, this is the closest thing as a lock for where we are in this point in the season. Typically, a lot of these games can be a lot more competitive. This is not going to be that. So the Bills win this one big, and they will advance to the AFC divisional round. So, Charlie, I'll kick this one to you from here.
Yeah, I don't see really any hope. It's tough. I'm down here in Miami, so you have a lot of the hope for the team, but it just once Tua went out back at the Cincinnati game, like it just kind of deflated the season. Since then, they lost to the Chargers, they lost to the Niners, they lost to so many teams that just ripped them apart, just to expose their offense, even when Tua was in. Like, it just, I think this is going to be one of those big balloon, letting the air out slowly and just weaseling out at the end of the year. It just, I don't think Mike McDaniel's an issue at all. I hope, like what Kevin said, I hope that doesn't happen. He's a good coach. I think he great mind, so I hope that he stays and they don't do something crazy because their owner is very old and really wants to win. So, but yeah, the Bills are emotionally high. Their offense is finally clicking again. They around the middle of the season they started getting a run game going, and if they have a run game going, whether it's with Josh Allen or with their like 3 running backs now, it just I don't mean to sound so like apocalyptic about this, but it just I don't see this game being within 2 scores. Like it's if I had to put a number on it, maybe like 13, 2 field goals and a score for the Dolphins and like 30, 35. Like I think it could easily just be ugly, quick, and a blowout. The only way that it could be any sort of a competitive game is if Dolphins pass rush gets home. But then they have to get Josh Allen to the ground. Like it just I don't have much hope for this game. This will probably be this and that Seattle game are probably going to be the worst 2 games of the weekend.
Kev, the floor is yours.
I mean, I have to say this with a heavy heart because my little brother is the biggest Dolphins fan I know. Has been since he was a little kid. And again, we are born and raised native New Yorkers. So him picking the Dolphins and then eventually moving to Florida could not have been a better situation for him. But this is going to be probably, I'm calling it right now, this is going to be one of the biggest blowouts in postseason history. There is nothing that is going to keep me away from saying that because they are on their 3rd string quarterback. They are facing one of the best offenses in the league, an MVP candidate, and one of the better defenses in the league. At home in Buffalo in January, and let's not front. It's going to be pretty fucking cold. So we're talking about every single element that goes into a football game: depth, defense, offense, weather, spiritual aura. Like there is nothing on Miami's side. They're deflated without their first 2 quarterback options. And again, like I said, Buffalo is still riding that play for DeMar hype. They're in the postseason. They're at the 2 seed. They have everything going for them in every facet of the word. Better special teams, better running backs, better quarterback. You can make the argument of Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. Obviously, one is better than the other at other things, but without Tua, without Teddy, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are not going to be utilized to the fullest extent. Mike McDaniels is going to be very, very limited to what he can do because Skyler is not Tua. Skyler is not accurate like Tua. He's not going to be able to distribute the ball like Tua. And for whatever reason, they know how to run the football very well when they want to with Mostert and Wilson, and yet they don't run the football as consistently as they should. You should lean on the run game to give your quarterback a break, to create play action, to keep the ball away from Josh Allen. But Miami likes to pass. And like Kyle said, yes, the Jets defense is stingy. You played Joe Flacco last week, and you literally won by 5 points. You're playing Josh Allen. This is bro. It's not even a fathomable comparison. This could easily be a 35-point blowout by halftime because of the dynamic capabilities of this Buffalo offense. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are the best wide receiver tandem over the course of the last 3 seasons. Kyle and I already talked about this. Zach Moss, that was traded for Nyheim Hines, is turning out to be an incredible acquisition as of last week with the 2 kickoff returns. So now special teams is riding a high. Then you go and you talk about Dalvin Cook's little brother, James Cook, and Devin Singletary are playing great football at a high capacity for the running back committee that's over there. Every facet of the offense is moving at the highest capability possible at the perfect time in the postseason. I'm sorry. Xavier Howard's not playing well. Bradley Chubb is in and out of the lineup with injury. I mean, Armstead, the left tackle that they paid all this money to from the Saints, he's been hurt. There's no hope. I'm sorry to all Dolphins fans. The fact that you got in this playoff is a miracle in and of itself, and the only person you have to blame is yourselves. There were too many games that you had the opportunity to win early on, and you just didn't capitalize. And then when Tua went out and came back, you played a couple good teams like Charlie said, and you were exposed. That is 1,000% on you. You either weren't prepared or you underperformed, or both, because clearly you were not ready for the opponents that you faced, and you're not going to be ready for Buffalo in the playoffs. This is going to be short and sweet. This game's over by halftime, without a doubt. Buffalo routs them.